Hi, I'm Dr. Erica Latcher with Spring Hill Equine. I want to give a huge shout out to all our patrons out there. You guys are the reasons we can do what we do. So today we're going to do a video on something I think every horse owner should know, and that is how to get vital signs. This is information I wish I could get from everyone when they call me with a colic. Never mind, pretty much any reason that they call me for their horse. I would love to know heart rate, respiratory rate, and temperature. So today we're going to go over those three things with a bonus section at the end. So stay tuned. All right, let's start with heart rate. So I'm going to be using a Littmann stethoscope. It's a really nice brand of stethoscope. I would say it's the probably the Cadillac, but they have varying different models in there. You can get your economy Cadillac, your full luxury Cadillac, but any stethoscope will do. The biggest difference between quality stethoscopes is the tubing, how thick the tubing is, which insulates the sound better as it comes to your ear, and the quality of the earpiece. The cheaper the stethoscope, the harder this rubber is and the worse it feels on your poor ears. So a $5 stethoscope will work. It's not the most comfortable, but it'll definitely do the job. The other thing you guys get to hear Dr. Latcher's stethoscope pet peeve, and that is that when you see the stethoscope, see how these angle forward? When you put them in, you want to put them in just like that, so that that is angling forward because your ear canal actually angles forward into your head. If you put them in this way, like they do in every medical TV show out there, you will now notice this too. It actually makes it harder for the sound to travel down your ear canal. So remember, forward, not backward. All right, so I'm going to take the earpieces, put them in my ears, and then where we take the heart rate, we're doing this on the right side for filming purposes. You actually want to do it on the left side of the horse, but it's in the same location. So come up from the bottom of the body wall, kind of a good hand length. I have tiny hands, so kind of a good hand length up. The other thing you can look for is the point of the elbow, and you're going to go a couple fingers above that. So there's usually a bit of a depression here, and it's right in front of where your girth ends up on the saddle. You want to take the bell of your stethoscope, this end. You want to place it firmly. This helps you get better sound quality. Not pushing firmly enough is one of the biggest things I see novices do. So you're going to take the bell, press firmly, and then we're going to slide up under the triceps muscle right here. So we're going to slide up under, and then we're going to listen until we get the rhythm. And there's going to be a lub and a dub. So you're here sort of lub dub, lub dub, lub dub. Get the rhythm, then pull out your watch, count for 15 seconds, or watch your watch for 15 seconds, counting that whole time. When you're done, multiply by 4, and you've got your beats per minute. Normal range in a horse is 28-ish to 48-ish. If they're excited, I'll leave my stethoscope on for a minute and see if that heart rate comes down. Not uncommon for me at all to put that stethoscope on and hear a little jump in the heart rate. That's why I take a moment to listen to the rhythm. It'll come down and you'll get the normal heart rate. Big red flag for me on sick horses is a heart rate over 60. Not post-exercise, but if a horse is standing here, I've pulled them out of the stall and you think they're colicking or sick in some way, and the heart rate is over 60, that's a really big deal. So they have a very narrow range of what's normal. Like I said, 28 to 48. Higher than that, and we definitely start to get concerned. And again, we're going to listen on the left side. The reason we do that is the horse heart actually sits a little tilted to the left, just like your heart does. So it's easier to hear from the other side. It's actually quite difficult to hear a heart rate from here. So that's heart rate. Okay, let's talk respiratory rate. So this one you are going to listen on both sides in the exact same place. What I do is come back to that point of the elbow that we found for the heart rate, draw a line to the top of the flank whorl. So I go bloop. It's really easy on wet horses. You leave like a mark. It's really great. So we're going to go like this. Then we're going to come straight up from the elbow till we get to about the top of the flank whorl back there, and then we're going to draw a line back. So this triangle is where we're going to listen for respiratory sounds. So I'm going to take my stethoscope again, and which way are we putting the earpieces? That's right, forward. I'm going to listen in a couple of different places, and you want to try and go through a couple of breath sounds. Normal on horses in particular in the area I'm at right now is that you don't hear anything but gut sounds, which is what I'm getting off of Vespa right now. So don't be surprised if you hear gut sounds and not lung sounds. Next, I'm going to move up. Same thing. We're going to listen for a few breath cycles. This is a really easy place to see if they're breathing because I watch their flank. So again, listening for a few breath cycles, kind of go to the center of my triangle, listen, and then I'm going to come here. We hear different things in each of the different places, but on a normal horse, you often don't hear much of anything. And that's, on Vespa today, I don't hear much of anything, and that's not a bad thing. What we don't want to hear are crackles or wheezes, and crackles sound like Rice Krispies. It really does. Think about putting a stethoscope over a bowl of Rice Krispies. That's exactly what it sounds like. The other thing we'll hear are wheezes. And those can be indicative of asthma. And you will hear those long before you may necessarily see an increase of respiratory rate or effort. So it's a good way to monitor those horses for symptoms. The other thing that we'll hear, and really this is uncommon on a normal horse, obviously, but we tend to hear the pneumonias we hear down here. We hear a lot of I describe it as sewer sounds because that's what it sounds like. You get just these horrible, awful sounds that come from down here that don't sound like gut sounds, no gurgling. So again, we're going to listen on both sides in this triangle. And then we're going to do the same thing we did for heart rate. We're going to pull out our watch. We're going to count for 15 seconds. Or we're going to watch for 15 seconds while counting. Sorry, you can't do both. So I like to stand here and just watch the flank rise and fall. And rise and fall. It's the easiest way to see it. The other way you can get it sometimes, if you've got a particularly jittery horse, is I'll just put my hand in front of their nostril and feel for when the air comes in or out. And again, usually I have to give that a second for the horse to settle into what we're doing to allow me to do that, but that can be a great way on some that are being just jittery and not standing still for you. The next trick on respiratory rate is how to get a horse to take a deep breath. And we have two ways that we do that. I'm always a little bit jealous of human doctors when they say, take a deep breath now, because we can't do that. But the way that we hear really good lung sounds is to ask a horse to take a really deep breath. So the way that I'll do that is by taking a small, think like bathroom trash can size trash bag. You're going to put it over their nose, hold it on there, and make them basically hyperventilate into that. So as they do that, they're increasing the carbon dioxide in the system. When you take the bag off, you get a really big deep breath that's really nice. The other way you can do it is simply by blocking the nostrils. This is a two-person job. So the way that I'll do that is I just have my helper come and basically just hold their hand over the nostrils. It doesn't take long, maybe about 10 or 15 seconds or so. I'll hold. When they start to fidget, I let go and I get a really nice deep breath. And again, that's a great way to listen to those lung sounds up high here when you're listening for some crackles or wheezes on a horse that maybe has asthma. So there you go. That's all you need to know about respiratory rate. All right, let's talk temperature. First thing you're going to notice is I'm standing really close. Because if you're going to get kicked by a horse, you want to get it done from really close or too far away for them to reach you. So we have to be close for this, so we're going to start really close. Next thing, let's talk about equipment. We just use a pediatric digital thermometer from CVS, Walgreens, Amazon, wherever you'd like to get your pediatric digital thermometer. Why do we use pediatric, you ask? Because they take the temperature faster And sometimes that is a key component to getting a temperature on a horse. You can use the old school mercury kind, but you want to make sure that you tie a string to them and use a clothespin to attach it to the tail, because they have been known to suck them in, and then you're hoping and staring at a lot of poop piles waiting for a thermometer to come back out. So we go pediatric digital. It's way easier. The other thing I'd like to make note of on this is, if you get nothing else out of this video, please, please, please teach your horse to be good about getting their temperature taken. This is probably the most common thing that I almost lose my life over on a daily basis. There are horses who do not like this, but taking just a few minutes to teach them that this is a process that we're going to do is super easy and very helpful for your veterinarian that you have a great relationship with. So again, notice I'm standing very close. I'm going to start by taking a hold of the tail and pulling it towards me. This pushes her weight onto this side just a little bit, so that if she does want to pick up that leg and take a swipe at me, I'm going to feel her come off the leg and then go to kick, so I have more time to respond and do what needs to be done. So again, take that tail, pull it to the side. If she was being bad or upset about this, I would give her just a moment to get over what we're doing. I'm going to turn on my thermometer by pressing the button, and then we are going to insert into the rectum approximately 1 inch. Now we're going to stand here and wait. And usually that happens where they pass a little gas. It's very nice. Very nice. So we're going to wait for that beep that tells us what her temperature is. There we go. All right. So this tells us that her temperature today is about 100.2, which is normal. Normal temperature range for a horse is somewhere between 99 and about 100.9. We get concerned when we've got temps in the 102 range, but it's not uncommon for us to see some of our mildly sick viral respiratory horses have temperature range in the range of 103 to low 104s. So there you go, temperature. All right, the bonus episode. We're going to talk about gut sounds, digital pulses, and gum color. So let's talk gut sounds. The nice thing about Vespa today is I can hear her standing right here. And that's not uncommon in horses, and we would consider that normal. But we also want to see how they sound with the stethoscope to get a better idea of how many she's having and how frequently. So I like the flank whirl as a guideline. So we're going to go one hand below, one hand above, and listen in these two places. And then we're also going to listen a couple places down below. So again, which way are we putting our stethoscope in? Forward. So we're going to go forward. Place the stethoscope firmly, and a lot of times you'll see I'll take this hand, I'll put it on the other side just to help them kind of stay where I want them to. And then I'm going to listen 20 to 30 seconds each spot. That gives me an idea of kind of frequency, intensity. Do I have gas? Do I have fluid sounds? And then I'm going to switch. Not uncommon up here to hear really high-pitched pings, and that's because this is where the cecum lives. And it almost always has a gas cap. So then I'm going to come down, listen. Lots of gurgles here. Next thing I'm going to do is bring my stethoscope and listen right behind the solar plexus. If I hear the sound of the beach, she's got sand. If I don't, it doesn't mean she doesn't have sand, but if I do, she definitely has sand. And then I'll usually listen in the middle of the abdomen somewhere. And then I'm going to repeat on the other side. They're horses, and as we all know, no gut sounds is bad in horses. We want to hear nearly continuous gurgles, rumbles, pings, some sort of gut sound going on. You should not get the impression that it's water running through a hose. That means you've probably got diarrhea coming at you. Nor should you hear nothing but pings. When we hear only pings, and they're like these Hunt for Red October high-pitched dings that go on. When you hear nothing but that, you've got a lot of gas going on. So you want to hear a nice combination of rumbles, grumbles, and pings. All right, let's talk digital pulses. This is super useful information on any horse that you think is lame. It can tell us if we have more of a laminitic episode going on or if we've got an abscess. It can usually tell me which side an abscess is on in the foot. So again, lots of useful information. One of the things you want to know is what's normal for your horse. So where we take digital pulses is right on the widest part of the fetlock. The artery runs right here. And what you want to be sure you do is use your finger, your pointer finger, and maybe your middle finger. Don't use your thumb. You've got an artery that runs in your thumb, kind of right here, and you'll get a bound with it if you are touching their artery and your pulse lines up to their pulse. So what I do is take 2 fingers, slide down till I'm at the widest part. You'll feel sort of a little water balloon type structure. Push a little bit and then let off until you can feel the pulse. Each horse is different. Vespa here, for example, I can't really feel the pulse on her. That's normal. Good to know that that's normal on her. But I'm going to do the same thing on the inside. So you'll see I have my fingers on inside and outside, feeling them at the same time. Not really feeling anything because that's normal for Vespa. I get an occasional pulse that I can feel on her. If, for instance, she had an abscess that was on the outside of this foot, usually the outside digital pulse will be higher. If she was laminitic, we would feel that all of a sudden we have these really strong pulses that were coming against my finger, and they'd be bilateral. So great information you can give your veterinarian if you've got a lameness going on. All right, and finally, let's talk gum color. Especially for colics, this is information that I really like to have if possible. One of the things we're going to look at is gum color is normally pale pink, not dark red like you or I. It's actually a pale pink, and that's very, very normal. The next thing we're going to look at is you can see that there's moisture there, right? Like there's a glistening to her gums because there's moisture. That's one indication of hydration status. Just like us, they get sort of cotton mouthy, and if they're dehydrated, which is frequently a problem with colics, then we'll see that they just don't have that moisture. And when you run your finger on the gum, you'll feel it's tacky, like your finger sticks to it as opposed to sliding across it. The other thing that we can get from gums is what we call capillary refill time. And the way we do that is we're going to take our finger and we're going to press. We're going to press and see how it's white, and then the color comes back. That's normal, and that should happen in 1 to 2 seconds. Normal horses are often 1 second or less, and again, that's a good indication of hydration status for us. What we shouldn't see is brick red mucous membranes or a line right above the teeth. Sometimes we'll see a red line that comes right above the teeth. We call that a toxic line, and it's an indication that there's bacteria running around the bloodstream that shouldn't be there. Definitely shouldn't see purple either. Those are all bad indications, but getting an idea of what the gum color is and getting that to your veterinarian, again, great information for them to have. All right, there you go. The easy and quick way to get a set of vital signs for your veterinarian. This is sure to make your relationship with your veterinarian even better than I'm sure it already is. And again, we want to thank our patrons. Without you guys, we can't do what we do. As always, if you've got questions, drop them down below and we'll get to them as fast as we can.